Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm reviewing LEGO Marvel set number 76286, the Milano spaceship. It has 2,090 pieces, 4 minifigures plus an additional figure, and it retails for $180 US. This is the Marvel set I have been dreaming of for years, like from the very first UCS-style Marvel set, the Helicarrier in 2015. I always said we needed a Milano. And I can't believe my dreams have come true, and I'm so happy that my dreams have come true in a pretty perfect way. I have very, very few criticisms for this set, and most of my criticisms, I would say, are about the minifigures. Before we get into it, though, I do want to remind everyone that I am an employee of the LEGO Group. However, all opinions expressed in these videos are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the LEGO Group, and LEGO is a registered trademark of the LEGO Group of companies, which does not sponsor, authorize, or endorse this site. Our first minifigure is the owner and captain of the Milano, Star-Lord. We do have the Guardians in their original red suits for the first time since 2014, and I do think the update is nice. I'm just missing like a Ravager logo somewhere because I thought the logo was on their coats, but I like the torso print, I like the leg print. I think I like the 2014 minifigures a little bit better actually, but hopefully I'll do a minifigure comparison when I end up comparing the Milano ships. Although I'm not sure when that will be right now. He does have some back printing and then the usual double-sided face print that he's been using since Infinity War. However, he doesn't come with a helmet, and I get that the original helmet mold is probably out of production because it was last seen in a 2017 set, but it does suck that we don't have one here. He wore that helmet throughout all of the first movie and, like half of the second, so it would have been really nice to see it come back, even if it was just like a face print and not a full new mold. Gamora makes her triumphant return here after being conspicuously absent from the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 sets, another new torso print, but she shares the same leg print with Star-Lord and Drax. I really love her hairpiece. I don't know if there's something different about it in this set, but I feel like the pink highlights go like further around like the little piece of hair that falls down like more than it usually does. She does come with her katana, or just regular sword I guess, but it's the Lego katana mold, and at the back you can see some back printing and her angry alternate face. This Drax minifigure is outstanding. He is so detailed. The graphic designers just went crazy on this minifigure, and I think most importantly, he's back to the light bluish gray skin color. I did not like the sand green skin tone that was used on him in the Guardians Holiday Special and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 sets. I'm much happier to see him back to the light gray, because I know he's like greenish in the comics, but he's like gray in the MCU. Like a greenish gray, but he's very much gray. His arm printing like goes crazy. I love that, like with the little Lego skulls. Again, I don't have the 2014 minifigure on hand to compare this to right now, but I think it might be better than that one. The only problem with this figure is that the back of his face print is misaligned. Like that's supposed to line up like towards the middle of his head, but instead it's like off center because of the printing processes. I don't know what it is, but if you look at his head from like the top down, you can see like the edge of the print there and then the edge of the print over here. So I wish that that was just a little bit more consistent. This is the same Rocket Raccoon minifigure we saw in the January Rockets Warbird set. He has a unique torso print, no detail on the legs, so he is a step down from the old minifigure which had arm printing and triple molded legs. And I really don't like that the little like front part of his tail wasn't printed. That's been done before, and when it's not done, it kind of just makes the minifigures with tails look like they're wearing a crop top because they have like a little bit of their skin color showing. So that's a shame, but it's a pretty minor complaint. The figure looks good overall, but I do think he's my least favorite Guardian in like his red suit, because I just really prefer the older minifigure. There's just something about this one that I don't like. Maybe it's just that we're seeing too much of his fur. Our fifth and final minifigure is a new version of Baby Groot. I think that he looks fantastic. He's in that newer dark tan color scheme, which looks excellent. I think this is the same mold that we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 sets, and so I'm really happy to see it make a return. I hope that this means that we're going to start seeing Baby Groot in more sets, because this figure is just absolutely adorable. Once again, the graphic designers knocked it out of the park. The ship itself looks absolutely gorgeous. This is 100% the best version of the Milano we've ever gotten. It is true UCS style. Of course, this is not an actual UCS set because that only applies to Star Wars sets, but you can see it's just packed full of detail. The shaping of the vehicle is amazing because the Milano is a really unique shape. It's got this like kind of splayed out bird-like design, heavy on the wings, and I really want to compare this to my other Milano spaceships, but unfortunately those are back home with most of my Lego collection in Michigan. I am going home very soon, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to have room in my suitcase to fit this guy assembled. And I really don't want to take it apart and rebuild it when I get there. So that's a long-winded way of saying I hope to have a comparison for you, but I can't guarantee it. This model does come on a stand like the Benatar set from 2021, and you can lift it off pretty easily, but it's kind of hard to put it down on the ground. Like, it can sit there, but it's going to flex up these little wing parts on the bottom, and so it's just not a great feeling. I also don't love this stand. It's in the style of the stand from the New Guardians ship set from 2023. First of all, I hate that blue tile there. I guess it's there to make it easier to put the stand into the ship, but I don't think it's really needed, and all of the other stands, UCS and otherwise, are always 100% black, except for the Technic pins in them, obviously, but like all the bricks themselves are black, and so I don't like that this one is inconsistent. But of course, that's a very minor nitpick and something that's really easy to switch out. What I would have preferred with this stand is obviously a plaque. I said this about the Benatar set in 2021. These should really have UCS-style plaques. They are true UCS-style sets, and so I'm really missing that. The other thing is that the Benatar stand could rotate. It had like a complex, like geared up build at the top, and so you could spin the ship around 360 degrees. I really would have liked to have seen that come back for the Milano. Zooming in on some of the finer details, I really like the way the beak of the ship has been built. I think that shaping is pretty good, and I love how finished off this set is. Like, look at how detailed it is along the sides, and I'll even try to flip it over at some point, because this thing is just really, really well detailed 360 degrees, which I'm super impressed by. Another thing I'm very impressed by is that all of the orange striping on this build is done with actual bricks. There are no stickers used for the orange stripes. It's all just like triangular tiles, and it looks utterly fantastic. I'm super, super happy about that, because stickers wouldn't have been a big deal, but it's just so much more pleasing in the build experience to create that yourself. This piece is a sticker. I feel like it could have been a print, but it's not the biggest deal. The cockpit is printed, and it's actually a brand new mold that's been created just for this set. It's translight blue, which I think is kind of an odd color choice. The Milano cockpit is trans clear in the movies, although the Benatar set included a trans purple cockpit, which I was fine with. I thought it was cool. And so, I mean, the trans blue is fine, because I think the purple on the Benatar was supposed to represent, like, space reflecting off of the cockpit screen. And, I mean, that's a cool idea, but I would have preferred it to be clear, because that's how it is in universe. And before we go into some of the other details on the exterior, I'm going to take it off the stand just to try to show you the underside. I should not grab it from there. I definitely felt something break. But there is a stickered piece, and you can see that it's totally smoothed over. You see barely any anti-studs. And that's just really interesting to see, like, an official set be this nicely detailed on the underside. You even have, like, the engines and everything. It looks really, really nice. Here's a little bit of a higher angle that just really lets you appreciate the sloping detail. These sections, as you just saw, they're too fragile to grab the ship from. I should not have done that. But the angled sections that you just saw underneath, I think the ship can be grabbed pretty safely from there. And I really love just, again, like the direction that all of these different like pieces fold in, because like this is kind of like a almost crumpled shape. This section is angled slightly down. This section is angling slightly inwards and downwards. And then these whole sections just slope down. The shaping is excellent, and it wasn't difficult to build. Like I really, really loved the build of this set. And I mean, I might as well just tell you guys now, this is without a doubt one of my favorite LEGO Marvel sets ever. The Benatar was cool, but I'm pretty sure I said back then in my review, like I would have preferred getting a Milano first. So I can't believe it took us like 3 years after that to get the Milano, but I'm just glad it finally came around. And speaking of the Milano, this piece is also a sticker. So I feel like some of these things could have been printed to add like a little bit of a more deluxe feel to the set. But let's bear in mind, this isn't an 18 plus set. It isn't like a display set, even though that's essentially what it is. Like I said, it's UCS style, but it's not marketed as that. So I'm not really expecting there to be like an above and beyond premium quality to the product. And I guess we can only avoid talking about the wingtips for so long. They are fully brick built. They've been done with Technic panels in the past, like on the very first Milano set. They are adjustable. The ones at the top are just on two ball joints, so you can just fold them up. This one moves slightly in and out, but it does slot into some 1x4 bricks, like with a rail. Or sorry, not 1x4 bricks with a rail. But this section acts like that brick, like the 1x4 with the rail slot. And so this just like slots right in. So you can kind of move it inward, but I'm just going to keep mine out there. This section does not move at all. And then these are actually, as you saw underneath, they're on ratcheted joints. And then you can turn them around as well. But I really think there's only like they look good folded up. So I think you could fold it up if you want to take it off the stand. But other than that, I kind of think this is the only angle they really look good at. And the same goes for both sides. Like both of the wing sections are fully adjustable in that manner. Towards the back, you have some nice, almost greebling style detail up here using a shield piece and some shovels. That looks pretty decent. And then you do have the engines, and I quite like the way the engines were done. You've got a big one up here. You have the little window that pokes out of the back of the Milano, and I believe that those are two tiny gun turrets. And I'm really glad that the window's back here. That's just, again, such like a quintessential part of the Milano. Baby Groot would like lie there and look out as they left the Sovereign planet. So it's a really great thing to have. And I will say it's necessary. At this scale, with this detailed of a model, it's not like that could have been left out. And then we have the smaller engines off to the side. These guys are fully adjustable as well. They are on ball joints. And so I don't actually know exactly how they're supposed to go in the movie, but I feel like in Guardians 2, you kind of saw them like a little bit more like facing you rather than facing down, because the Milano like lifts up from the ground and then kind of pushes forward. And so that's the look that I'm going for with these thrusters. And then you do have this little glow at the bottom as well. And I think that that build, or that section of the build, actually looks really nice as well. And then we have like these little like black pentagonal designs. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be more engines, but they are my least favorite part of the build, because they constantly break. Like these corners are not very well attached. So while I was putting stuff onto the front of the ship, it's like you push on this naturally, because like that's where your hand comes to rest. And then it gets pushed inwards. And then if you try to like pop it back in, it just like breaks off. So then you end up having to like pry off the entire assembly to fix it. And so it's just, this is the part of the set I definitely like the least, because this broke off, like each of them broke off at least like 2 or 3 times while I was assembling the front of the ship. And so it really sucks that it's that fragile, because I don't want something to be breaking multiple times while I'm building the model. And finally, we come to a very important question. What about the interior? You guys know I love my interior details on LEGO buildings, on LEGO spaceships, vehicles of any kind. And as you might have seen when I lifted up the cockpit window, you do have space in the cockpit to seat multiple minifigures. In fact, you can fit 3 in there. That's amazing. I think it is 5 or at least 4 in the movies, but this arrangement is similar to what you see in the movies. You've got a couple of seats down there, although they don't come with seat backs. And they have a couple of piloting joysticks, and then you have like one main pilot's chair that does have a seat back with a joystick and a stickered console. But, of course, what about the rest of the ship? So I am pleased to report that, much like the original 2014 Milano set, you can just take off this entire upper area, and I love that it kind of folds up. It's angled down once you go onto the actual ship, but it folds flat when you take it off. And the interior detail, again, going back to the Benatar, when I did my Benatar review in 2021, I was disappointed with the interior, and I had people saying, well, what would you expect from something like this? This is what I expect. This is like the perfect interior for a large-scale LEGO ship. Of course, more interior would be better, but that's quite difficult. So let's take a look at what we get. Like I said, you've got the cockpit controls. I'll put some minifigures in there when we finish this segment so you can see what it looks like. But I think it's time for this thing to come off the stand. You have one more seat back there. I think that's where Drax sits. You have clips for weapons. Weapon clips are something that I think should be present in any LEGO set where you get accessories, because it is so important to have somewhere to put those accessories. So I'm thrilled to see those factored in here. You have a beautiful stickered poster at the back. That spot is somewhere you can put Baby Groot's pot. Then on this side, you have Yondu like FaceTiming in to talk to Peter. You have studs all around the base so that you can position minifigures. It's much roomier than the Benatar interior, which I thought was a pain in the butt to access. But what I love even more about it is that it's fully connected to the back. You have 2 archways that minifigures can actually walk through to access the room at the back. That's all I want from interiors. Connected interiors are just so great. It adds so much playability. It adds so much fun to like the build. It's just nice that you can walk a minifigure to the back of the ship. I love that. And then all the way at the back, this is much harder to access because it's kind of got this beam going across. But you do have a couple more studs where you can position figures. There's a singular bed back there, so it must be Peter's because there is the Awesome Mix tape deck on the wall. And I think that's a new print for the Awesome Mix. I'm really glad to see that that's printed and not a sticker. You know, if I'm going to like mildly complain about stickers not being prints, I need to call out that it's super great that we got a new print for that instead of a sticker. And of course, you can see out the window from the back. So this interior, it's everything I wanted. So yeah, I mean, I'm not salty. I'm not holding on to whoever, you know, said on my Benatar review, like, what did I want? But I mean, this is what I want. Like, this is what I think of when I think of an interior in a set like this. Obviously, you can't have an interior out into the wings because there's too much structure that needs to be built up. But I think this is the perfect amount of space for the main part of the ship. You can fit all of the Guardians like sitting down in here, and then you can fit so many more minifigures just standing around the ship. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, you have 2 more clips up here as well to store weapons. So A+ from me. So here are the minifigures all seated. I've put Peter in the pilot position and then Gamora and Rocket sharing co-piloting duties. Drax is sitting back there with the weapons clipped to the walls, and I didn't even realize this was a feature, but Gamora's sword actually just slots right into this exposed grill tile. Amazing. What a different way to store weapons. I'm obsessed with the weapon storage. That's something I beg for, and on the Benatar, it was really difficult. The knives behind Drax do not impede him sitting in the chair, which I'm super impressed by. A Rocket's gun can actually just be attached to any of the open studs on the floor, and then Peter's blasters just go right up there. So I'm very happy with this set overall. Like, not only is the exterior beautiful, but the interior also looks fantastic. And then when you have the minifigures sitting in the cockpit, they just look excellent. The cockpit is pushed up slightly by Rocket's face, like it's not sitting as flush as it normally is. Honestly, that's like a tiny bit annoying, but only the smallest bit because it's still not really creating significant gaps. Like, I still think it's sitting pretty flush considering that you have someone standing up in the front seat, so I don't think it's the biggest deal, and if you really don't like it, you can always put Rocket in the main pilot's chair since he and Peter are always arguing anyway, and just move Peter to be next to Gamora. And I actually wanted to try that on camera after I said that because I'm not sure if the cockpit is going to close. And no, it's still not closing all the way, but again, it's really minor. I'm glad that like his head doesn't like push it up to like this point, you know, like that would be irritating, but this is still pretty flush with the rest of the fuselage. And because this is a 12 plus Infinity Saga set and not an 18 plus Icon set, you have gorgeous box art with the Milano zooming out of one of the jump points from the MCU. I think it looks great. You have a little planet in the corner. It just looks ready for adventure. And the back of the box shows the Milano landed, in quotation marks, on a planet. I really love the box art, super atmospheric, and it shows off all of the details and play features. This set includes 2 instruction manuals. I think that they look cool. The render, I think, looks pretty decent on the front, but there's no ads for other Marvel sets. You just have an ad for Rebuild the World at the back. So as you guys can tell, I think that this is a practically perfect set. I love it so much. It's everything I've been dreaming of when I thought about a UCS-style Milano set. And the only real complaint I have is minifigures. The minifigures that we get are great for the most part, but I think they could be a tiny bit better, you know, like printing Rocket's tail, giving Peter a new Star-Lord helmet. But the bigger problem is that there's only 4 minifigures plus Groot in a $180 set. That feels extremely light. I will concur that yes, you get every character that's important to be in the ship. That's not something we got with the Benatar. That set was missing a lot of characters. But I still feel like 4 minifigures is really, really light for a set that costs almost $200. I would have loved to get a new Nebula minifigure based on her 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy look. Or like a Nova Prime minifigure. That's like a super random one. I don't think we'd ever see an official minifigure of her. but I just feel like there's like a little something missing on the minifigure front. Or even like a buildable Groot, like a buildable adult Groot for the first time since 2014. That would have been like a really nice little addition to the set, and then they still could have included baby Groot so that you can actually put him in the ship. But as for the build itself, I don't really have any complaints apart from, you know, like that part that breaks kind of easily, and I think that the stand could have been a little bit better. Those are relatively minor nitpicks. And overall, I just don't think we've seen a Marvel set this perfect in a long time. I think that this is absolutely going to go down in history as one of the greatest LEGO Marvel sets ever made. And hats off to the designer, whoever designed this. I should ask my friend who works on the superheroes team. I should ask him who made this, because they need a raise, they need a promotion, they need to design every LEGO spaceship ever. I love what they have done here, and I hope that they know that their work is really, really appreciated. And lastly, I do think the price is pretty fair, $180, around 2,000 pieces for a really good size build. I think that that price is appropriate. It's an increase of about $30 over the Benatar, but, you know, inflation has also increased in the last 3 years, and I do think this is better than the Benatar, absolutely better. So let me know what you guys think about this model in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com, and I'll see you guys in more videos soon. Bye for now.